Okay, so let's make some conversions. 7.8 meters cubed equals how many centimeters cubed? All right, now, if you've forgotten the conversions, we need to be able to draw a picture to quickly be able to work them out. Because throughout your life, if you ever want to make conversions, you don't want to be memorising your Year 8 maths. You want to know how you can come up with it again. So this is what I do every time. I think, well, what's 1 metre cubed? So draw your metre cube and think that's 1 metre by 1 metre by 1 metre. All right, now we want centimetres cubed, so at this point, change each length. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 lengths there that we need to think about. Change them all into centimetres. Now, your linear conversions are these. You know that there's 100 centimetres in 1 metre, and you know that there's 1,000 metres in 1 kilometre. You also know that there's 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre. Now, these are the conversions that it's handy to memorise in your life. If you know these, you're good, right? But these other units of volume or area, they're actually really tricky to memorise. This just ends up being too many things to hold in your brain at one time for a lot of people. So, a handy trick is to memorise these and work those out each time you need them. All right, so how many metres are there in how many centimetres are there in a metre? There's 100, okay? So I can relabel this little drawing here and say at 1 metre, that's 100 centimetres. And this is also 100 centimetres, and so is this. Okay, it's still a metre cubed though, isn't it? I've just relabelled it in centimetres. So if I want to know how many of those little centimetres cubed there are in this big thing, there's 100 times 100 times 100, which is 1,000,000. So I can write this little statement and say there are 1,000,000, because I've got 2 zeros, 2 zeros, 2 zeros, so I need 6 zeros. There are 1,000,000 cubic centimetres in 1 cubic metre. Okay? That's more than people often think. They often think, oh, it would be 1,000, but it's not. And the reason is it's 100 times 100 times 100, and that gives us this million. All right, so what do we do to get our answer here? Well, you say to yourself, how do I get from the metre, the number that's in front of my metres cubed, to the number that's in front of my centimetres cubed? In other words, how much bigger is this number than that one? Well, it's 1,000,000 times bigger, isn't it? Which means I need to move the decimal place 6 times to the right to make it a really big number, okay? Now, if you have a trouble working out whether to move your decimal left or right, just think to yourself, 7.8 metres cubed, that's a lot of metres, by a lot of metres, by a lot of metres. Think how many centimetres cubed are going to be in there? Well, the quick answer is a lot, okay? You want a lot of those. So you need to make the number bigger, and you can see moving the decimal this way makes it a much bigger number. Okay, so take your 7.8, it's got its decimal here. We're going to move it that way 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to finish here. Now, there was nothing to jump over, so you put zeros in to jump over, and this decimal will now end up at the end of all those zeros. So we have 7, 8 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. And that's our answer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which you can then break up to see, look, there we go, it's 7,800,000. Okay, now to do that, I had to draw it, I had to think through my conversion, and then I had to move my decimal. That's the process, okay? So let's have a look at the next one. We have centimetres cubed here, and we want to make them into metres cubed. Well, we could have actually just kept our conversion up because it's just going back the other way. So let's write it up again. We just worked out that there were 1,000,000 of those little guys, these little ones, in 1 cubic metre. So if we want to go from the centimetres cubed to the metres cubed, we're going from this to this. Our number has to get smaller, doesn't it? How much smaller? 1,000,000 times smaller. So we have to move the decimal point 6 times, but this time we're going to move it the other way. So let's take our number, 6301, and we're going to make it that 1,000,000 times smaller. So the decimal is notionally at the end of the number now, isn't it? Because this is 6,301 point nothing. So we've got to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, when you get nothing to jump over, put your zeros in as placeholders, and the decimal needs to sit in front of 2 zeros with a 6301. Now, if you like, you can put a 0 at the beginning, right? Because that's nothing, 0.006301, and there's our answer. All right, now for this one, we're going to need a different picture. So we're going between millimetres and centimetres. Now I know that there's 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre. That's my lineal conversion, just length, all right? But if I draw a cubic centimetre, which is one of these little guys, I could label it 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre, but I'm not going to. I'm going to label it in millimetres. How many millimetres wide is this? 10. And it's 10 millimetres deep and 10 millimetres tall. So how many cubic millimetres are in there? Well, 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. So there's 1,000 millimetres cubed in one of these little cubic centimetres. Okay, that's my conversion now that I'm going to use. I don't memorise that, I work it out using my little diagram so that I don't mess it up. Okay, so if I'm going from the millimetres cubed to the centimetres cubed, that's like going from 1,000 to 1. So obviously we have to make it a lot smaller. How much smaller? 1,000 times smaller. And you can do that by moving the decimal point 3 spaces and move it in a way that makes the number smaller. Now if you take 103, because that's what we've got here, the decimal's here, and you're thinking, hold on, do I move the decimal left or right? Well, just try it and see. If you move the decimal here, you get 10.3. Oh yeah, that's smaller. If you move it that way, you'll get 1,030. That's bigger. Okay, now you need to be making your numbers smaller. So just try it and see. It'll seem obvious which way to go. 1, 2, 3. The decimal's going to end up there, just in front of the 1. So I have 0.103 centimetres cubed. Now, sometimes you can actually then convert into something bigger or smaller. For example, if we want to really challenge ourselves here, we could say, all right, how many metres cubed is that? Okay, now how do we do it? Well, we know our conversion. We just worked it out before. For centimetres cubed to metres cubed, we have to make it a lot smaller, don't we? We have to make it 1,000,000 times smaller by moving the decimal 6 places. So if we take the number that we've been given, 0.103, we have to make that way smaller by moving the decimal 6 more times to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to end up here. And we need to put zeros underneath all our jumps. So we've got 0.12345 6 zeros, and then the 103.